I'm officially starting this puppy. This puppy is started. Puppy started. It's Saturday morning, Art of Rock, welcome. I'm going to just jump straight into it this morning because there's so much going on with questions and, my God, politics. So, you're fucking awesome for joining us. This is every week it's here. I should actually just cut and paste something in here just to say, yes, we're every week. Oh, my God, I don't have it together. And you're watching it on Twitch. I hope you're watching it on Twitch. Boom, there it is. Welcome. Watch this shit on Twitch every week here. Let's just jump into this crazy thing. Mark, hit me with your rhythm stick.
All right. So my question this week is, does anyone have any tips for composing for guitars? Preferably via MIDI, but if it's using samples, I can kind of figure that out.
I'm going to throw this open to the floor because I will shoot my mouth off about this one. Razzie, hit it.
As a person who plays guitar, it's such a wide open question that I'm going to answer what I do for guitar production and then throw it back to you, like, hopefully for some other details. Mostly if it's a guitar that's supposed to take up a lot of space, I definitely do 2 separate performances, maybe pan them left and right. They're identical mostly, but the richness of having 2 different performances, possibly with 2 different guitars, possibly with 2 different amp setups, but definitely separate performances, double tracked. Some people do quad tracking if they're aggressive. I find that can thin it out if you're not careful. But know the performance, rehearse the performance, learn it, play it twice, have that as your main figure, and you can always bring the levels down on the double track to taste. For lusher, reverby, swirly parts, I would concentrate on the actual origin tone of the sound, whether you're using a sample or a real guitar, so that it does have a good attack to it and some sort of mid-range, throatiness to feed into the reverb and whatever delays, chain, and chorus you're using. It tends to bite into that, and you can always filter it off later. But upper mids, tone-wise, there's some classic sounds from Fender, Jaguars, and details that you don't really need to get into because everybody has their own preferences already. And then for leads and melodic figures, also learning the part and doubling it as 2 separate performances, and then possibly harmonizing and embellishments on that. So it's already a lot to say, but Mark, do you have specifics? Like, is this mostly for sample sets or for sampled individual notes that you're then composing as a guitar part?
So I'm working on a game project, and I was going for a track that's a little more rock and less electronic. So I was like, I look for some tips on how to properly do the guitar for that. Like, I'm not expecting to, lay a Van Halen track or something, but just something that sounds like, okay, I could believe a guitarist looked at this.
Brilliant. So, the guitar range, the first 3 strings, the lowest ones, the E, A, and D strings are where you're going to focus your rock from. And don't use the third of the chord, just use fifths, power chords. It leaves the melody space open for the rest of your instruments, and you can be a little ambiguous if you're in a minor or a major key that way. But the root, an octave, and a fifth in the middle of it are how you get that really kind of the thickest basis for chugging along and playing power chords like that is as rock and roll as you can get.
Okay.
May I?
By all means.
So, if you come up with a melody, a little riff, a little like minor pentatonic riff, so you're in D. Of course you're in D. Why are you in D? Can anybody tell me why you're
the saddest of keys?
That's right, it's the saddest key of all. Let's say you're in D, and the melody is D, F, D, F, G, A. Goes up to C, D, F, A, like that. So if you were to play that on a keyboard, it would sound great. or whatever the riff is. But if you give that to a guitarist who is a maniac, they're gonna slide the fuck out of that thing. Bow, bow, wow, like that. I mean, like, if that's the rock and roll that you want, so converting that into how do I fudge this with MIDI? Like Resi said, I would be suggesting that firstly you've got a bloody good synth, and if you actually are using the sound that sounds like a guitar, an acoustic guitar, and then you're going to distort that, but we're going to get rid of that, you're going to use a lot of pitch bend. You're going to figure out how you can mimic mutes, and that might just be a really short note, or that might be the same note but you drop the filter on it really quickly. So it might be the harder you hit it, the more the filter opens. There's a reason for this, and the lighter you hit it, the more muted the more filter is biting into those higher frequencies. Then you're going to distort the shit out of it. And please remember that, you know, when you're writing it, write it in fifths, and always have it like that. Always have the fifth, you know, sometimes the fifth is under if you want to be a rock star, with the fifth above. But stick to the plan. Remember that you're trying to mimic somebody playing this. The thing is that when you start putting that information into a distortion pedal, the distortion pedal is going to go, oh, wow, look. Normally, if I'm just distorting the root note... Am I muted? No, I'm not. If I'm just distorting the root note, distortion will sound like this. But if you put a fifth into it, distortion's going to start sounding different. Like Rosie said, when you throw the octave in, it's going to start sounding different again. It's going to start distorting all those harmonics. And it's going to crush everything together. Then you're pitch bending into notes, out of notes, chug, 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 stuff like that. My advice would be to familiarize yourself with guitar and understand how a rock pig guitarist will play this. That guitarist is going to slide around, and you know, I used to do this thing in Angelspit was okay, like the first note you play, first time you play the note, it's one note, just one note. So verse 1, one note, chorus 1, one note, chorus verse 2 and chorus 2 is two notes, so it's going to be that power chord. And then by the time it gets to the end, then, you know, the third chorus, you're playing something chunky, and then I do this thing where you're playing a claw, and a claw is where you just stick your hand on the guitar, like that, and you might not be strictly playing those frets anymore, but you are still playing the contour of it. So the objective of the exercise is, as the song goes on, everything gets more manic. Manic intensity builds. And guitars are absolutely fantastic for that, because the first time you play it, it might be just very well very well pronounced. The second time you're starting to slide a bit more, and the third time you're a nut. I personally think where the guitar stops talking is very important. So ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba, it's not ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba, it's ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba. So everything else has got a chance to get in there and talk, because when the guitar jumps in like that, it's really, it means a lot. And also, one of the takes, sure, quantize it a little bit, but the other take don't quantize it at all. So that, you know, I like to have, when I do guitars, I like to have one Rammstein take, which is, I will go through and edit the crap out of that guitar part, and then a Sonic Youth take. And the Sonic Youth take is just not giving a shit. It is just punk rock. And when I put them on top of each other, the Rammstein one is supplying the edgy, strict, chuck, 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 chuck thing, and the Sonic Youth one, which is just really loose, crazy punk rock, is supplying the madness. I had something else to say, but I've forgotten. Yeah. Fuck with shit. Always fuck with shit. Does anybody else have anything else they want to add to Mark's amazing question? Alex.
Do. Dude, it took me a minute to find the button.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, Vince, go.
All right. When you're dealing with guitars, also, it's important to think about, like, I know this has already kind of been touched on a little bit, but where it sits in the mix can get a little tricky because so many things fall into the what would be mid-range in your mix in general. So if your guitars are too thick, you'll end up with phase issues in your mid-range between other tracks in your guitars. So EQ is your best friend, like a dynamic EQ on your guitar track. So it hits and it doesn't overpower things and it doesn't fall behind in the mix, because it's your vocals, especially vocals and guitars they're right there. I tend to do my guitar parts as high-pitched stabs so they're above the vocals a lot of the time, but getting them below the vocals pitch-wise can be difficult depending on who you've got doing vocals, because it's mostly mid-range and you're not gonna have if you're doing the vocals, I'm guessing you're not gonna have a whole lot of high soprano in there to balance that out. So be careful with your EQ on guitar tracks, because it can get tricky to separate the mid-range from the other mid-range so that it all sounds good together.
Excellent. Thanks, Vince. That's really important. I want to talk about that a little bit after Alex, too. Alex, what you got?
I assume the question was how to write guitar parts with keyboard.
Yes.
Yeah, I think if you can land a guitar, just playing power chords is super easy. Even I can do it. So you can tune the strings so you just need one finger, and then you can just play the lowest strings. And I think it's also like not a big deal just to pick one guitar up and quickly do it, because this part of guitar playing isn't the high art of guitar playing, but something you can quickly pick up and quickly get a decent guitar part. Just saying. So if there's opportunity, it's not that hard.
Good advice. That's another reason why, guitarists love going chunk, 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 chunk. And that's great, but the problem with chunk, 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 chunk is that it's saying something, and sometimes it's getting in the way of other instruments. And that's the thing about that, Vince was saying, is that, okay, so a guitar is a massively huge sound. A synthesizer going like a beast is a massively huge sound. So now you have two massively huge sounds trying to occupy the same area. And I have come to learn that you can either have a big fat guitar or a big fat synth. You can't have both, because they just start butting into each other. It sounds like a very unhappy compromise, because the guitar's going to do things that the synth can't, the synth's going to do things that the guitar can't, so let them do their things. Something I love doing is coming up with a riff and then going, okay, the first two notes are going to be on guitar, the second two notes are going to be on keyboard, then it's guitar, then it's keyboard. So these two instruments are creating that riff. And that's inspired by a band called Scritti Politti, who used to do that a lot, where they'd have a riff going, but all these different instruments are doing it, so you could clearly hear and identify that instrument, as it's doing its thing. So yeah, guitars, man. Does anybody else have another question they want to ask or answer, Mark? Because Mark asked such a good question. Alex.
So, if one were to get into blues or get a feeling for the genre, what records would you recommend?
Oh, shit. Put me on the fucking... Oh, Vince wants that one.
Johnny Lang's Lie to Me. The kid was 14 years old, sings like he's 40, and plays like he's 50. Okay? Like, that was an amazing album. It's great for the blues. Also, the standards is anything from Stevie Ray Vaughan and ZZ Top. ZZ Top especially, that's a big one to me. I don't know. Billy Gibbons is it's a thing for me. I don't know. There's something about his sound.
Actually, can I just talk about ZZ Top for a minute, specifically Afterburner? Which I will argue, have I ever given you my rant on Afterburner? I think Afterburner is the first industrial album. Afterburner's a bloody good album. Like, and it's funny, you know, because I was brought up in this redneck town where we hate synthesizers and we want to hear guitar. And they would play ZZ Top. ZZ Top has no drums in it. Afterburner, which is one of the great rock albums of the 80s, there's no drums in that. That's a Fairlight. And I will fight anyone with a knife who wants to go, no, man, Beard played the drums. Beard the only guy in ZZ Top who doesn't have a beard, his name is Beard, and he's the drummer. And he fucking programmed those drums on a goddamn Fairlight. And you listen to those drums and you tell me that's not a damn Fairlight. You know, that's fucking yellow sounds and Art of Noise sounds. It was a damn Fairlight. But Afterburner also has a whole bunch of Moog playing the bass. There's very little bass guitar going on, and it's just great big fucking guitar. And it sounds fantastic. And actually really good call on that one, Vince, because you listen to what he does with the guitar, like, it's so simple and it's so slidey and it's so, you know, this is the thing, is when you hear, you know, all of us are going, yeah, that's a good album. You know, when you hear like something that's done by a master who knows what, you know, I work with George Bykos a lot from Meteorize, and it's like, don't say a lot, but say it like you mean it. Like, you know, bend that shit. Yeah, fucking try and program that stuff, man. And also, if you can get samples of squeaks, of guitar squeaks and stuff, throw them in there. Something I wanted to bring up before, I actually have like a whole bunch of Angelspit guitars on the K2000s, that each note on the K2000 in that octave is a guitar strike. Then the next one is the same group of notes, but it's a different strike. So if I'm going da 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 da, I'll go bom 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 across the octave, so it's hitting a different guitar sample. And I've got away with it to this point, because, you know, it's just sexoid. Then you put, like, you know, George Bykos over the top going like a maniac, and it's like, okay, that sounds great now. That's all I want to say.
Also, I don't know if this is still available. This is the best guitar samples I have ever seen for strange, dark things, at least. It's the Sony Sound Series Methods of Mayhem Industrial Toolkit.
Wow.
A lot of the stuff I use comes off of that disc.
How old is that disc?
I got it in 2008, I think. And I've been using it since then. Like, it's just that one disc. It's got so much stuff on it. You know, you pitch shift a couple things, EQ it different. You can use the same sample for 30 different things. So
is it like single shot guitars?
There's a few single guitar stab notes. There's an entire section of guitar samples that are feedback. There's a whole section of treated guitar samples and boxed guitar samples, which is it's a EQ term for the distortion and the way that everything goes, I guess. But yeah, there's a whole section of it called Nasty, which is nothing but guitar noise sounds, really. And there's a whole bunch of them that are set to a key or a root note, so you can actually use them in a progression. But then there's also a lot of them that have no root note. It's literally just noise from a guitar. So it works out nicely. It's on Wuthering Heights, actually. The guitar stabs on that came off of that disc.
Brilliant, which is a very good remix. Very dirty, dirty, dirty track, by the way, Vince. Well done. Razzie.
I want to make sure that somebody goes on record here saying that they absolutely hate Afterburner as a record. I think that they were in their element, ZZ Top, playing guitars, drums, and bass in a room, that boogie, that blues, that tone. And I thought they were complete posers when whoever the producer was said, you guys can have some huge hits and make it on MTV if you just dress this way and play these songs with these synthesizers, which, as a synthesizer person at the time, felt like treason. Long as that gets said, I'm happy. We could argue it if that is where it goes, but you know. The second thing is on that topic of using sampled guitar toolkit sets versus just picking it up and playing it. I'm glad that how easy it is to just play some power chords came up. because we did have that revolution where guitar tone is solved for free. Like, you don't need to know how to collect pedals, amplifiers, select speakers, set them up in a loud room, mic it, processing chain. You can get world-class and very creative and interesting sounding guitar tones from the box. Most people do. A lot of people don't. So, man, I'm going to stress that also. Like, pick up a guitar and get a feel for it, because the sample kits and sets have their place. And I've built my own, certainly, sample kits out of what I thought was going to be the guitar track, removed it and just, played the squeaky parts in between, as the song, especially more back in the day. But you will get like so much more of a feel for building a convincing guitar performance if there's one in your hands. Carl was saying it, the squeaks between, as you're sliding up and down to a thing, there's a lot of articulation and bending, and the tuning interaction of two strings not being the same when you strike it again is a creative choice to make. If you want a machine gun repeated sampled sounding guitar, there's one way to do that. If you want a performance, there's a way to do that, and it's a very different experience when you actually are holding the instrument. I think that was it.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, the bottom line is experiment. I think somebody said, forgive me, I don't remember who, get a guitar if you could be fucked. Oh, yay, more gear. And rip off those top three strings and just keep the bottom three strings and have it like D, A, D. So you can go about doing bad stuff, but here's Vince.
Don't do that.
Why?
If you get a guitar, do not take off the top three strings and leave the bottom three strings. Do
Why?
not take off half the strings on your guitar and leave the other half. The tension on the neck over time will warp the neck, and you will never be able to play it again at some point.
Okay. Well, you know what? I guess what I'm talking about is a piece of shit
Mute those
throwaway guitar.
strings. Mute those strings by all means if you need, like, somehow, but don't take them off.
Okay. Well, I used to do that in my heyday, and I didn't give a shit. But I'm glad you've said that. I mean, alternatively, keep them all on there and tune them all to 1s and 5s. Just to get that madness going. But thank you for the guitar wisdom, and so maybe try that. Does anybody else have something they want to bring up about this amazing, amazing topic? Guitars.
Carl, would you say something about that thing that you just hit? I saw a video on Instagram recently where it was really interesting, and I wanted to know more.
Okay, well, this is the blaster beam. And I'm currently experimenting. I thought I was going to have it in A, but I think I'm going to have it in E. I'm going to go down because there's a fascinating tonic. Ivan, I'm just going to talk boring shit here. Did you want to bring something up, or?
A couple of things. One, like right now I'm working on a cover of David Sylvian's Damage. And, like, messing around with, like, synthing those parts, you can get it to sound decently shitty. But as soon as you, like, switch the bass part to an actual bass, like, instantly it pops, it becomes alive. And so, like, I got my guitarist friend doing the guitar part because, like, I cannot replace... you just can't. I can't find a way to do it that works better.
I don't understand the question.
Oh no, it was just a response to Mark's.
All right, cool.
Finishing the guitar thing, and then the actual question: what these days? What is a workable release strategy?
Okay.
I mean, we're in my band. We've got. We're at about 53 minutes of material now, and across the 8 or 9 songs, and that's kind of roughly EP length. What would be a good strategy for you? Just put it all together into an album and then release that, or what's the thing? How does this work in the land of streak?
Okay, well, I've got an opinion on that, and I'll gladly answer, but I see Rezzy's hand, so, Rezzy, you can have that one if you want.
No, I just wanted to preamble what I know you're going to be capably going into, and that is things are kind of shifting right now. TuneCore just added their socials only free tier, so one thing to keep in mind, and this may be abhorrent or enticing, depending on your perspective, a little of both. There are ways to do mass distribution, not to the DSDs, but to TikTok, Instagram, and I think just no streaming, strictly socials. Just wanted to pop that in as like a newer development that kind of sounds like something that I'd be totally incongruent with, but am fascinated by.
I guess we're going to see where that one goes, because I don't know. I don't have my finger on the pulse.
Brandon.
Ivan, was there any? Do you want me to just start ranting about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, start ranting because like I have no idea.
Okay, an hour, 53 minutes is a good sounding album. How many tracks is that?
It's 8 or 9.
Great.
Right now.
Yeah, that's great. How long's a piece of string? Like an album, I think is technically anything over 8 tracks. Does anybody even care anymore? But when you go to Bandcamp or iTunes or something, and you're paying $8 or whatever the going fee is. What's an album on iTunes now? Whatever that is, you're gonna want to make sure there's bang for buck. But you see. The first question is, it sounds to me like that's enough content for an album. And it's always a really good idea to be getting the songs and going, is this song a hit? Is it a club slammer? Is it a good song? And then there might be these other songs that are, they're not even album tracks, they're not very good. Polish them up a bit, put them on as B-sides. That's what I reckon.
Oh, got a pile of those already.
All right, cool.
Like, that's the stuff that we'd be really willing to release. I've probably got another 3 or 4 hours of material that it's kind of like, maybe we could polish this turd.
All right. In that case, if you're talking about an album that's full of killer and no filler, it sounds like you've got a really strong album. Now, what you guys need to do next, because your crew are very intellectual and you love to research, is research. Should you be releasing them as singles, or should you be releasing them as an album? I personally think that we are moving. Well, we've always been in a single. Rock and roll's always been singles. Yeah. It's always been at least 2, maybe 1, maybe 2 singles, then the album, then maybe 1 or 2 singles afterwards. It's always been like that. But it's funny, for a period we stopped doing that. I don't know why. So I have a feeling that we're going back into that period. So my advice would be, do a couple of singles and make sure the whole thing is planned out, and you're releasing those singles every 2 or 3 months. Some people do it every month. Some people do it every 2 or 3 months. Don't rush it. You timeline the whole thing. And the artwork is so important, and the band photos are so important. Don't skimp on that shit.
No. We're gonna pay professionals money on that.
Great. And please don't take a photo in a back alley wearing sunglasses and leather jackets with your arms crossed. Don't do that.
Well, no, we were gonna do it on the lakefront where we're all staring away from the camera in different directions.
Okay. Just know that algorithm and people like faces. So if they see your face, they're going to click on it. And that's been a rule in rock and roll since the beginning of rock and roll. If there's a face, people will go, face! And they will gravitate towards that face.
We're going to probably have to negotiate on that one, because there will be no our faces on anything for this.
Well, I mean, I could now mention 10 fucking incredible albums that don't have anyone's faces on them. Example, everything 9 Inch Nails ever did.
No. I mean, like even when people won't even see our faces when we're on stage playing live.
Okay. All right,
It's
cool.
part of our shtick.
Then just make sure that whatever you're doing is presentable, exciting, alluring art is going to make someone go, click. Wow, what's that? That looks interesting. Click. That's what you want.
That's what black light and black robes and UV paint is good for.
Yes, sure. You guys play with this as much as you want because play is important in music. And experimentation is everything in music. And my advice is to fuck around and then fuck around some more until you come across something that's fun.
Okay. That helps. Yeah, I think that helps.
All right, cool. This is such a great question. Does anybody else want to throw on stuff onto this? Bada boom. Rez.
Yeah, I think we're possibly at a point where things are changing a little more rapidly than they have. As far as, is your question still in the realm of like how to, as far as like how to time out the promotional strategies, or is it more functional as to where to send it for aggregation?
Yeah, like that. The aggregation I've got figured out. It's the what is a good strategy for the releasing of the material?
Yeah, okay, good. And the answer is the one that you're most enthusiastic about right now. You know, like being in places at times doing the thing you do. From my kind of limited re-entry into this whole thing the past year or so, the people that are the most satisfied with how their release cycles went are those that did the things that come most natural to them, and whether that's short form video, whether that's long form, podcast style descriptions of what the tracks are, whether that's interacting with the potential fans one-on-one directly, whether that's joining a panel of their peers to talk about the process. Being involved in those things continually, consistently, and for a very long time, a couple of years if that's the release cycle while you're working on the next thing. Those are the people that are the happiest with what just happened. When they go back and look at, I had this many sales, I increased my social measurements by this percentage, I felt this rewarded by the contact I had with people that listened, and I got this many spins of the thing. People who could stay engaged for the long haul and work the thing seem to be the ones that do the best, whatever the actual mechanics of the the day-to-day, whatever that looks like. So I want to know what you end up doing and how that works for you. Like, I'm really interested in what you land on.
I am definitely going to be sharing this as it goes along. We're we've got some engagement ideas for how we're going to kind of light up the audience and introduce ourselves and create the mystery that will be us as the answer to the question.
Story building, world building.
Yes. Yeah.
Beautiful.
No, and this is what mythos building. And then even like we're already starting to have the talks about like when we go to do a release party. Like here in Milwaukee, you generally go to Kachansky's and everybody pays $5 and comes in. That's nice. What we're going to do is invite people, and then just buy Kachansky's for a night, and the people with the golden ticket get to come in. Because we can, the goal is to FOMO it up a bit.
I love that. That sounds great. Alex!
Yeah, and don't really have much first-hand experience, but I think what's important is to consider how much time you can invest into it. So if you don't have much time, I think the best just to put it out and to just shout it out when you can via social media. But if you can have the opportunity to put the time into it, I think it's better to drag it out like a chewing gum and to release it bit by bit. Have like first the audio only video, then a music video if you have the ability to do that, and to just pump it out like bit for bit, and then I think Carl's strategy with the singles and then the full album drop and then the singles is quite good.
I stole that from Duran Duran. Rezi, is your hand still up, or did you want to throw something in there?
Yeah, just a quick one. Measurable results are cool if you're going to be putting in the effort and ostensibly spending real cash. Having a couple of specific goals for this year of promotion or 6 months of promotion, so that you have, Spotify is 10 spins per week this month, and next month you want it to be 1,000. Like, know what your goal is, and so you can be accountable for and take the necessary steps and make the adjustments along the way, so that you're not just doing stuff useful.
Yeah. I because we are always in a brave new world where everything is always changing and always, and now the fucking algorithm's been updated and blah 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 fucking blah. It's really good to share what works and what doesn't work. And I could go into a massive depressing rant about this, but maybe not. Alex, you know what I am? After you, I'm just gonna shoot my mouth off.
All right. Do you think playing live would help? I mean, now it's possible again. Hopefully it will in the winter again. Also, but do you think it will help? Maybe just because you have to invest so much into people noticing you, but if you're playing in front of them, they can't really. You're automatically in their sphere.
I think playing live's a great idea, and if you can, I say do it. If you can do it and you're confident. Plus, for some people, it's fun. And it's a really big challenge, and it's this really big logistical challenge, and then you get on stage and you have fun. So fucking do it. Because, my God, we and the world need some fun right now. That's what I reckon. Does anybody else want to talk before I go into my incredibly depressing fucking rant? It's so funny, isn't it? How I don't know if it's people leading an algorithm or an algorithm leading people. I just don't know. I was having this conversation recently about how, and this is a who gives a fuck, it doesn't fucking matter. How, oh wow, now there's this new thing we have to do. Oh, now I have to figure out, somebody was saying to me that they have to try and figure out the Instagram algorithm, and once they've cracked that, they're going to get onto the TikTok one. And I just thought, this is where we're at. We are trying to appease an artificial fucking algorithm, an artificial intelligence, so that we can create content for it for free. Like, in the words of fucking Magatu, is everybody taking crazy pills? It doesn't really matter because we can't do anything about it. I think that's one of the reasons I'm so fucking hopelessly depressed, is that, oh, I've got this thing sorted out. Oh, no, wait, something's changed, and now YouTube's not doing blah, 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 fucking blah. And I just think, at the end of the day, you are an angry bastard with an electronic instrument, so abuse it, and scream into a microphone that you think this is a big pile of bullshit, unless you think it's great. Fucking be heard. Fucking be passionate. Fucking lose it. I just, I was talking to this young person, and they were saying about how their entire existence and their social interaction is based on their TikTok stream. The dance, the words, the lingos, the shows, the thought process, what you're going to be trolling today or not trolling today. And I just thought, all these companies just need to change their fucking name to Hyperdyne and call everything T1000. oh, I'm looking at T1000 TOC or Insta T1000. Because that's what it fucking is. Like, I don't think that the machines never went, oh yeah, let's take them over with guns and tanks and kill them. No. Let's kind of put them in fucking into this thought process where they're spinning their fucking wheels on dumb shit so that they can, they're not, they just want to check, oh, did my last post get any views? Like, and then something about enlightenment and something about love and something about equity and equality and something about some other bullshit. Hey, don't get me wrong, those things are really fucking important. But you know how drugs reprogram your brain, because they do. Read the fucking research on how Oxycontin reprograms your frontal lobe. Reprograms it. Well, this addiction, just like any other addiction, is reprogramming that as well. But it's also reprogramming the way that you see your tribe or community, you act and interact and react. Yeah. There you go. Rant. Resi.
Two things come to mind from that. And the first is, the mainstream has always kind of been the enemy and the killer of creativity and sort of the mortal opposition. And to rail against and be mad about pop is still legit. I mean, this is making angry music about real issues as opposed to vapid digestibles about non-issues. And that's still fair. And
that's great, but that's not what I'm talking about. Please go on.
No, okay, cool. And the other side of that is, I want to hear what your reaction to it is. Definitely, the gatekeepers have slightly changed, but and this may be more up your alley. The corporate insertion, of preventing you from reaching your fans and putting themselves in the revenue stream has also always happened. And the fact that they've automated a bit now definitely changes things, but it is still like, you had to maintain your own mailing list in the 70s, 80s, 90s, all the way through to reach fans directly. And you had to send your demo around on paper to labels to break through to the larger audiences that they controlled through radio. And I just don't feel as though that's vastly different right now, other than some of the affordances we have to reach fans directly that do exist, which is a little bit hopeful. Maybe it's just trying to be slightly upbeat about that. But Carl, please redirect as to what you were getting at.
Before I do, thank you, Alex.
Well, I think I have a quick PSA. I was quite isolated in the last months, and then I got to meet people in real life again, and not just any random, but like people I really am on the same level, on the same wavelength, like Julius, for example, at VGT. And I think I felt like I was so socially inept, but I only realized that I just wasn't like getting the input, and I was like not. It was just atrophy and not like my own ineptness to social interaction. So if you're out there and feeling lonely and feel you don't fit in, just go push yourself, go out, meet new people. And even if you stumble at first, just keep going, you will be able to run in no time. Just don't be me 5 months ago, don't think you're not able to do this, just do it and you will feel so much better.
Excellent. I appreciate both of that, thank you. What I'm talking about is something that is reprogramming the human mind en masse. That's what I'm talking about. I am talking about something that is more sinister than television. I'm talking about, because at least television had a big bad guy who was a person. I am seeing something that is acting and reacting and changing, just like the way that the Terminator played with John Connor, and it is learning and it is adapting. I am seeing that the business models of things, for example, music, for example, fucking everything, is changing every 20 minutes, every year, to fit into... I'm sorry, what? I am seeing that this artificial intelligence sure is trying to do what its job is, which is to create interest in content and ultimately push people to buy, but it is turning shit into this crazy, bizarre fucking frenzy. And my citation for all of this, my evidence of pointing at something and going, what the fuck is going on here, is my immediate circle of influence, which is music. And I am grateful that to a very large degree, so much of this dog shit doesn't matter to my market. But the problem is I'm having increasingly difficulty reaching my market. And it goes so far beyond that. And that is that festivals aren't really happening anymore. And then you can point at a whole bunch of festivals and say, oh, but the festivals are happening. But the problem you've got is that those bands aren't really getting paid a lot of money, and the amount of money it takes to put a band on the road. And I'll go on here if you want. That's why I don't tour, because I can't afford it, and so many other bands I know aren't touring because they can't afford it, and the venues aren't there anymore, and people go, oh yeah man, I'm going to come and see your band, I love your band so much, I'm going to come and see your band. They don't show up because there's something to, oh, the new Obi-Wan's out, I can't go, I just couldn't be fucked going out. Look, it's been like that for a long time, but I guess what I'm saying is that I am seeing people change their mindset to creating. This is what I will try and say. People are changing their mindset in the way they create their art, product, whatever, to fit into a now. But the problem with now is it's fleeting. And that album that you are creating, it's going to be around in 10, 20 years. Because we make shit that's quality. We build pyramids. We don't build prefab houses or cool little buildings that are going to go up on a pop-up sale. And the pop-up sale in fucking Silver Lake's going to make so much money. Let's do a pop-up sale. That's not what we do. And we don't build houses. We build pyramids. And those pyramids need to be around after we die. And there is this algorithm that's telling us and everybody else, oh no, do a pop-up sale. That's what I'm pissed off about. Because I don't do fucking pop-up sales, and I don't do consumable shit, because people are more fucking intelligent than some AI gives them credit for. Because remember, the AI thinks that you are just a vessel to transport money from one pile to the other. They don't see you, they just see your green and your perceived economic potential. Bam! Ivan, talk to me. And big thanks to May Graves, by the way.
Dopamine. The algorithm is getting everybody hooked on instant, quick, short-lived dopamine hits. And if you want to compare dopamine to other drugs, it's the winner. It always is. And even the ones that we really like, often mess with the dopamine channel. Because if you can make people chase dopamine, you can just keep them chasing forever.
Yep. And that's an addictive quality right there.
Yeah, that is the addiction. And so, one thing that, been watching YouTube videos on, like, dopamine fasting and, like, dopamine resetting, and, I'm trying vaguely to adhere to some of these techniques, and I think that I'm already seeing results. So it is costing me custom video game time. Granted.
Yeah.
I don't know if I miss it.
Thank you. I'm going to pass those to Rezi because I could bitch about this one all day. Thank you, though.
I wanted to just also chime in on the shift from the importance of any of these segments being the things that are created or the stuff that people are buying to the value of the data about the people buying it. And that shift is most illustrates what you're talking about, Carl, I think, in that when the value isn't, it's ever less in the songs, in the lawn chairs, in the dishes and plates and cars, and in the information that can be generated while using or selling or moving the piles of money from one person to another. I think we feel that in the value of our art ever more deeply.
For sure. And well said. Vince, what you got?
What Ivan was saying about the dopamine thing and the algorithms and the way that affects you and what you were saying about it, reprogramming your brain. I think that unfortunately that is an unintended side effect of capitalism. Because if you think about it, the algorithm was designed by people to drive people to things that will make them money.
Yep.
That was the only goal, was to get people to spend money. And in getting people to spend money, they created an environment where the interaction was valued because the interaction meant more potential to make money. And that bled into regular society and outside of business, where people see their reactions, and that also brings them joy because it's a thing that reprograms the brain. That they did not, I don't think they considered that at all. I don't think anyone considered that at the beginning of social media. Like, that was not a thing. They were not like, yeah, let's get everybody hooked on this thing. It was, let's connect people. And then it was like, wait, we can connect people. We can connect people to businesses. Let's connect people to ways to get money out of people. That was the goal. And people got hooked on the algorithm that they created for themselves. So now everybody's in on it. And it just drove the thing and made it even bigger. So now what we have is a capitalist machine designed to place monetary value on people's data, as well as their interactions and the money that they spend on the things they spend money on. Once you spend money on something, then they go, oh, we can get more money from you from this thing. And so your data becomes valuable. And now that's just what drives everything, is money. In social media, really. If you have enough money, you can break the algorithm. That's what it comes down to. If you have enough money, you can make sure that absolutely everyone sees what you're trying to put out there. But if you don't have the money, you can't get there. So all these major corporations that have control of the advertising, because they have all the money, they're the ones that get seen. And what you're left with is people like us that, we don't have $4 billion to spend on advertising in the next 5 years. So we can't be seen by everybody. But those major corporations can.
Yeah.
So
thank you. So my two questions, my first question is, where the fuck does this lead? Like, just look at this breadcrumb trail of insanity and look at the psychological difference that it is doing to us. Damage that it's doing to us. Like, and it is. Because if you don't believe me, go have a talk with a teenager. Talk to them about body image. And you tell me there's no problem. Talk to me about how they fit into their... I thought fucking 80s high school movies were bad. Holy shit. Holy shit. My second question is, what the fuck are we going to do about this? Like, we rage against the machine. Again and again and again and again and again. I don't know, just make your fucking music and make your fucking art. That's what I reckon. Alex, Vince, is your hand still up? You're the best. Alex, this is a nice vent, by the way, Alex.
Well, I think something I would really like to do, but obviously I have this big of a list of projects, but I think I would like to do some sites that are just outside of Facebook, out of YouTube, just having plain old sites for themselves where you can put up whatever you want on sorry, I can talk. And you can put everything you want as long as it's not illegal, and have your own space, and also like other ways to counteract consolidation. I think that would be really great.
Dead journal, live journal. Yeah, I think. But I totally agree. I'm so fucking over it. Incredibly fucking over it. Yeah, so does anybody else want to bring up something about this very exciting topic? Did somebody want to change the topic? Razi.
I liked the launching point of what are we going to do, and the effort gets greater, and it is more and more difficult in some ways to do direct to fans marketing, connecting, communicating without the intermediation of people who are trying to prevent your stuff from getting to them. I mean, but contending with that fact and applying your efforts to the places where it has thin spots or cracks. In other words, when Meta Incorporated prevents you from putting a message to all of the fans that are interested in hearing what you have to say because they electively said, yes, please tell me about this person, and then they want to sell you an ad to get to them instead. You know, I mean, that's discouraging, and it's you know, a couple of years of that, 5, 6, whatever it's been, has been a little bit demoralizing in the way that they've got their claws into the thing. But we still have email lists. We still have the number of people that do see our messages. We still have Bandcamp, you know, of all things. You know, there are these places where preventing your message from getting to the people who have said they want to hear it isn't as strong, and supporting those and vigorously putting your energies into working those avenues is at least a little bit of what we can do to raise, you know, a middle finger to the worst parts of the system. I don't think it's a complete solution, and it doesn't at all figure out, well, how do we mount a tour or, you know, release a gatefold, you know, beautiful handmade, you know, piece of art containing our CDs anymore. But it does, at least it's a little bit of a, well, what do we do next? Like, what do we do today?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just fascinating. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I haven't seen an ad in my feed for Cleopatra or Metropolis or any record label in a long time. It's as if they just stopped trying. I haven't seen... Yeah, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I really don't. Even emails now are having trouble getting through because there's so much shit going on. You know, if there is a zeitgeist of revolution of our time, which is always there, that, you know, we are the holy persons, the priests and priestesses of that zeitgeist, who are doing its flaming will. What's it telling us? Like, what is it saying? What's the thing? What is the thing? Like, the thing I'm always being reminded of is, fuck this shit, have fun. Have fun. Do something fun. That's why I built this thing. Have fun. And say, fuck you. We're gonna have fun. I hope that helps. Because the point of this is actually to encourage, believe it or not. Ivan.
Yeah, I've been running into it. You know, like I switched over to using Tidal as my music streaming platform for listening. It's nice. Tidal.
Okay.
It's nice. You know, you get like high quality, high bit rate, it sounds good. Just about everything I like is on there. This is great. But guys, title, please look at my playlists and try to understand that what you're recommending is stuff that I want nothing to do with at all. Nothing, in no way, shape, or form am I going to want anything to do with that. But yeah, you fill up the whole like I have to scroll way down to get to my own stuff. Like, dude, what the fuck? And as far as the algorithm goes, also, I think it's teaching us. Well, okay, it's inadvertently teaching people like us something that we should have remembered all along. And to micro quote Friedrich Nietzsche, it is time to live dangerously. So that's my latest rant.
I aim to misbehave. Absolutely. Totally agree. Thank you, Ivan. Alex.
Quickly to add to what Ivan said, I think on the one hand I'm always encouraged if the recommendations are bad, because then I know that they don't collect too much data about me. Because the reason why YouTube's recommendations for music are so much better than the ones from Apple Music is because YouTube has collected data about my listening habits for like over 10 years now. And I think that's also great to keep in mind. Also, one thing I think Tidal does that others don't is that I think in Tidal you have like a pot of money from your subscription, and then based off the percentage of music you listen to, then it gets distributed. It's not per stream, but per percentage of your streams. So I think it might be a bit fairer, just to add that.
Cool. Good to know. Okay. My God, why have thou forsaken me? Oh wait, because you don't exist. Does anybody else have anything they want to throw in at this point? Resi.
Do you want to change the topic?
Yeah.
You started talking about the blaster. I want to hear a little bit more about your progress with that, if you don't mind. And then I do want to jump in with a quick one about link aggregators.
Okay, well, I'm currently, I wanted to build something that was more musical, and now I've got it set up. I think it's done. It's a funny thing I'm learning about guitars is once you have a guitar, all you want to do is fuck with it. Oh, I'm going to change fuck you, Vince. Fuck you, Vince. I'm just going to move that. If I move that pickup this way 1/8 of an inch, it's going to make all this difference to the sound. That's out of phase, but it kind of sounds cool. It's just never stops. I've learned so much about guitar pickups. Thank you, Vince. Thank you, Dustin. In the last fucking month, it's insane. I want to say that I wish I knew about soapbox fucking pickups because they're beautiful. Like the humbuckers have got that bang, bang, bang sound. Like when you put a lot of, they've got that. I call it the stray cat sound. But these soapboxes are, man, they're just so smooth. I'm learning a lot. And I'm thinking about detuning the whole thing to E. It's in A currently. The tuning is really good. I beat the shit out of this thing, and the tuning's it kind of stays in tune. The research I'm doing on a lot of these things is that they're not in tune at all, and that's one of the that's why the instrument sounds so interesting, is that the fucker's not in tune. But I wanted something more musical. Another thing I learned about the blaster beams that are out there is that the people who put pickups on this had no fucking idea. They didn't talk to a guitarist. They just said, I'm going to put it right up the top, right next to the bridge. Right. Wow, why does it sound so shitty, thin, and twangy? Like, with these fucking bass pickups, you move it 1/8 of an inch, and it's like, fuck. The sound changes so much. More awesome shit about guitars, Mark. And I've actually got the soapboxes and the humbuckers on an angle. Because Dustin... The thing I love about Dustin is that Dustin goes, why not? Like, hey man, can I do... Why not? Yeah, do that. It's out of phase. Doesn't matter. What does it sound like? So, the humbuckers and the fucking soapboxes are about 45 degrees on the strings. And it's interesting that the... these soapboxes, man, the actual pickup area is 5 fucking inches. And it sounds so good. Oh my god, they're so milky and creamy. But I'm learning a lot, and I'm still fucking around with the acoustic side of things, and I'm going to start assigning... The humbuckers will probably always get distorted, because they just go bark, bark when they distort. I don't want to distort the... soapboxes because they sound so pretty, and I might run the bass through a phaser, but I'm just super happy with it. And I lifted the bridge 1/4 of an inch, maybe a bit more than 1/4 of an inch. So and then I've started writing songs on it. And it's interesting you asked that question, Mark, about you know and I wrote this idea. And it's just fascinating how if I wrote that on a keyboard, I'd go, oh, nah, I couldn't be fucked. And then it was, it sounds like shit. But then I played, this riff is really simple. But it's because you're sliding this thing and you're bashing the fucking thing. It sounds, oh, that's great. It's like the notes have space so that you may enjoy the chaos of the notes. And you don't have to do all this little shit. Because it's like, wow, that is such a fucking ball sound. It doesn't sound like a blaster beam. It sounds like a bass guitar with a couple of piano strings on it. That is janky and shangy. And the other cool thing is I've got each of the different pickup pairs are on their own channel. So if I want it just to be dirty as fuck, I just turn on the pressure zone, the little piezo transducer mics, and it's very fucking tinny. I then might throw in the bass, so it's got this like super bass going on and the jang going on, and then I might pull in other things here and there. Like if I want it to sound very musical, I'll turn off the contact mics and just go with the soapboxes and the bass. Or if I want it to sound really dirty, I'll just use the fucking the humbuckers. It's just such a learning process for me. It's great, and it's inspiring a lot of music. And I was at a party the other week, and I got like 3 guys. I've been trying to write do sci-fi movies. Never fucking happens. And I went to this party, and they've been watching the blaster beam on my fucking socials, and they went, let's do a movie. And it's like, fucking finally, let's do a movie. So I'm learning a lot, and it's just really fascinating how different instruments inspire different music. And because it doesn't have frets, I'm learning to take total advantage of that. And it's a lot of fun. Rezi.
I have 2 requests as a fan.
Oh.
And maybe as a challenge. First one is, we're gonna just stick paper clips on the strings and make it rattle. You can just attach those on there.
I actually do have ball chain that's draped across it.
Yeah.
I'm doing it's prepared blaster beam. And
yeah, totally.
You can't hear it. I can't mic it. I can't turn it on because I'll fuck up the Zoom. Go ahead. I'm listening to you.
The first one is. If we have to set up a fund and buy you a cheap-ass bass bow for $30, is that a bass bow or a cello bow that you have? I think it's cello.
I don't know. Like it's just a piece of shit. But it's funny. I was looking at your and thank you for that thought. The thing you put on the Alderman bow or something you mentioned. You mentioned it like a couple of weeks ago.
I don't know if that was me. There was no somebody else. It might have been Braden. I don't know. Somebody mentioned either saltery or it had a steeper bow than a
typical
SATA bow. Yeah. The thing that I had in mind was bass bows are just thicker. They have a lot more contact patch. And if you can get this, there's a point at which you get enough rosin and you get the pressure, you hold the bow in traditional grip and apply enough pressure that the fundamental starts coming out of the string, which at your wavelength is so low that you probably have to do a good amount of pressure, a good amount of rosin, and a really consistent draw to get that thing to sing. I am dying to hear that, first of all, rather than the harmonics, which are also sick.
Yeah.
And then secondarily, a more massive slide, like a really, really heavy, like on pedal steel, they use a solid chrome plated steel thing. How is that I don't think it's heavy enough. Like I
Really?
like the slide guitar sound that you're getting.
Yeah.
But there's also, as an alternative, a really pure, it's fretting and not vibrating against it, like solid contact of the way that a pedal steel sounds, rather than the way a slide like a dobro or a slide guitar sounds. That's, I don't know if it's even possible, but you need so much mass in that slide. Maybe there's something there.
Well, this is a good point, because the problem we've got, and this is one of the reasons I'm dropping it to D or E, is that the actual requirement to push down takes a lot of force.
Yeah.
And if it's down on E, if it's down to E instead of A, there's the strings are less tense. So yada yada yada.
Yeah, totally.
But I'm experimenting with that bit. But yeah, I need, if anybody wants to, that's why the Patreon's there. Just jump on that. But I do, because I did say I was going to build a crazy fucking instrument, and this is that instrument that I'm building, because I love
sick.
it. I just love
It's
it.
amazing.
I want to, really can't fucking hold a sentence right now. Alex, help me.
Have you thought about e-bowing it?
That's a bloody great idea. I want to get... See, fuck guitarists. Like, the first thing is I want to get an EBow, but I don't know if that's going to work, because these are... Well, they're not strings. They're wires. And I don't know if an EBow is going to work... Oh, here's Vince.
An EBow measures an electromagnetic vibration from the string, so as long as it's metal, it should pick it up fine.
Okay.
Not being a guitar string shouldn't matter as long as it's got the right tension to produce a note, and it's metal so that the EBow picks it up.
All right.
It's an oscillating feedback loop, so there should be just enough energy available from a 9-volt battery to actually do it, but there's a lot of mass in that string, so it may not sing as rapidly. It's about finding the spot where you can actually get the pickup and the sender.
Just
the transducer.
show me the top of your wobbly.
So I modified this one to have the primary and secondary contact switches in there, so that you can do what's probably the fundamental and probably a harmonic separately, or turn it on with the switch. But essentially, you find the sweet spot and it really sings. A lot of people use them wrong by design, but other sounds. But there's one spot where it'll pick up and feed back strongest usually, and it has to do with the mass of the string, the transducer in here, and the pickup, and it's a little bit of a balancing act. But yeah, like Vincent was saying, you can
Fuck with that shit.
get it to work. Yeah. Plus, there's also built-in systems that single pickup solutions that can do it. So you might look into Sustainiac or one of those.
All right, I'll have to look at that. It's interesting that also I might use a piece of wood as well. I'm also experimenting with like bowls and all sorts of stuff to see what they're doing to the sound, because the two pickup mics pick up a lot of shit, and it's really weird. It's so weird, and yeah, and that's the thing about a traditional blaster beam, is because it's strings and not wire, there's a lot more flexibility, and the sound, it's really buzzy sound. Mine's not buzzy, it's more jangy, and I like jangy, But to kill the jang, all I do is turn off the fucking pressure zone mics, and it sounds a lot more like a bass guitar that's very angry. Vincent, help me.
Something I thought of on your slide issue, what Raz was talking about was use a wine bottle.
Ah, okay.
Because it's round, and it's glass, it'll be heavier, it'll apply more pressure, and you've got a handle.
All right.
Great idea, yeah.
That's a good idea. I'll try that. I mean, like, I can even get, like, if a solid piece of aluminium and or a solid piece of steel. Because one thing I do want to do is, I've seen them put it on top and then bow it. But and get some fucking mad harmonics going. But one thing, and therefore, you know, every string it's making contact with is bowing. But what I want to do is I want to get a strip of leather or thick plastic, preferably leather or pleather, so that you can go jang, 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 mute. Jang, 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 and then twist it so the rubber or leather hits it and it mutes. Because that's another real interesting issue with the instrument, is that it resonates for days. And the fucking, you can't. Oh, and I got to get I may have to get a specialized tuner as well. Does it ever stop? For the big bass strings, because I was talking to Peterson Tuning, and they were saying that, okay, well, the problem with a lot of tuners and like vibrational tuners is that the actual microphone that is picking up the vibrations is a piezo that's that big, and it physically cannot pick up the wavelength of that A0 string, that great big fucking, it can't do it. It physically can't do it. With heavy metal guitars and fucking bass, yes, it can do it. So they said you've got to get a stomp box because it's looking at electrical signals. And the other thing is, the thing about these tuners is that they don't need a full cycle to find out what pitch it is. They only need a partial cycle. And when you're dealing with really low frequencies, that's important. So, boom. Alex?
I think you already have enough ideas, but if you need some more, I think what would be also really cool is to do an impulse response. Like put a speaker next to it and do a frequency sweep and then record it and then put it into a convolution reverb and use it as a weird kind of reverb.
That's really interesting. One thing I do want to do is I want to have one of these sessions where you guys go, okay, what happens if you... because like I'm approaching this with a Carl mindset. I'm not approaching this with an anyone else mindset. And I, you know, because there's no A to Z on playing a blaster beam book. You know, it's like, I can hit it. And I can do all of this other shit as well. So that's something I'd like to do. Vince!
For your mute, you're probably going to want a foam rubber. If you use pleather or leather with having a smooth surface, you're going to catch the vibrations at the beginning of it touching the strings.
So EVA?
So you'll get like you might get a harmonic off it as you're trying to mute it. So you may want to have both options, because you might want to have that sometimes, because that could be kind of cool now that I'm thinking about it. But like you might want something that actually fully immediately mutes. So something with a little less dense.
That's really, yeah, that's a good point. The problem I've got is that these wires rip the shit out of everything, including my fingers. And I've seen people play these things with gloves, and now I've gone, oh, I understand why you're using gloves now. So I might need to, I don't know, put leather inside a piece of denim or something. But I hear what you're saying. But
that actually might work.
Yeah.
That sounds like it should be preferable to just, and it's something smooth.
Yeah. Oh, so much to learn.
Also, leather's going to react like skin, and your fingers on it will get a harmonic when you do that.
Yeah.
So leather will almost definitely do it.
But what's crazy is that when I fucking bash this thing, I'll put my hand on it, and it takes quite it takes a second or two for all the sounds to suck up. It's not like immediate. It's like, and I'm done. My fingers are dirty now. Oh, it's so industrial. We are going to wrap this up soon. So I'm going to put this in. If anybody else has another question or a comment, so many clangy things over there. Alex.
Part question, part request. Over 10 years ago, you did like a Blipbird with an Jupiter 8, and you did a sample set. Do you still have the samples?
Why did you remind me of my Jupiter 8?
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
I do. I have them somewhere. Can you do me a favor and email me that?
Yeah,
There
sure.
should be attached to that. There should be a link on that to the sample set. If not, let me know, because that may have gone down.
The link is dead, yeah.
Okay, I think that was a Dropbox. Email me and I'll see what I can dig up. I can't even look at pictures of Jupiter 8s. It's like I broke up with a girlfriend and I can't even look at the pictures. Like if someone's looking, if there's a Jupiter 8, I have to scroll past it really quickly. I can't look at it. I'm happy. Somebody put their hand up.
That was me.
Raz.
I'm like that with memory moogs. Just so sad. So
I didn't know you had a memory.
I had a memory moog for about 15 years. I might have mentioned it was on loan permanently, and it just became too valuable to keep in my studio as a loan to the person who owned it. So I said goodbye. And I do have a thing that may either end the conversation profoundly or with silence. But is anybody using link in bio services that are good for music and have special features that cater to what you like about them? I'm using Linktree. I've been using it for a while. It's fine.
Everybody seems to have positive thing to say about Linktree, but if anybody's got a different idea, please let me know. Or hey, wait, didn't DistroKid just launch something? DistroKid just launched something. Fan Touch or something? I don't know. I like Linktree. I don't use it.
Linktree is what I use, but I'm gonna have to look into that thing. If DistroKid's got something, I'll have to check it out and see if it's worth it, because I've been not paying attention to a whole lot of their features the last couple of months because I've been working on stuff, so I may have missed that.
They're trying to keep us musicians in the thing. Looks like it's Linktree. Does anybody else have another thought besides Linktree?
I've heard of Card with 2 R's, Carrd. It seems a little bit more customizable, like visually, but that's a good question because I got to get one of those of my own.
I think we need to have a therapy session where all the things that we have to do, we just do it as a group. Like, get your Spotify, get your Apple Music, get your Linktree. Like, because I know some of us have it, some of it don't, but all of us are letting it down in some way, shape, or form. Mark.
There we go. Alex, I'm sorry, I was half listening. You said something about Jupiter 8 samples?
Yeah, Carl did 10 years ago a sample riff collection with this, then Jupiter 8.
No, I still fucking have them.
Okay, because I found some Jupiter 8 drones.
Yeah, they're Angelspit ones. Are they the Angelspit ones?
Yeah.
Was that in
okay.
Oh, I'll put the link in here and I'll share that with everyone.
Yeah, they probably came on the USB pill.
Oh, yeah, there you go. That's them.
I don't know if those are the Jupiter 8 samples you were talking about.
That's them.
Okay.
We need to have a conversation on this in case. So they're on your pill and they're not online.
That I got them from the pill. I don't know where they might be.
Maybe I've even lost them. We may have to talk at a later stage about this. And I will let you know.
I might also have a copy of them. If no one else does, I'll have to look into it, because I did have them. I know that my first release through DistroKid, one of the songs used an 8-bit Crusher sample from something I got from Angelspit's Blipverts.
Awesome.
One, but It's in there. I credited you for it in the post when I put the YouTube video up too.
Thanks. Awesome. No, good. Somebody said, man, you should do a sample pack for the Blaster Beam, but it's like, no. It's just, there's too many weird sounds. I can't deal with this. I hate my life. I don't know what's going on. Somebody help me. Something. Alex, is your hand still up?
I just wanted to say, card is really cool from the features side, but I've only seen artists and like people for themselves use it. Like I haven't seen like musical artists use it, but it's really cool because you can have like multiple pages and not just one list. And you can also have like a mini bio. It's like a mini website.
Is it free?
I assume so, but
there's a free tier and a paid added features.
Boom.
Goes up to 19 a year.
Huh.
Or starts at. So.
Thank you. This is good intel.
Looks interesting.
Does anybody else want to throw on this, or do I throw it to Ivan? Ivan!
Okay, Carl. I mean, I know that you can't hear me.
No, I can hear you.
The breaking up with Jupiter 8 is definitely it's a horrible thing, and I understand. Here's the good news, though. I mean, Black Corpse got their Jupiter 8 clone, and it is not, it's not an algorithm.
Oh,
it's not,
the guys that did the Decad's Dream.
Yes.
Well, I didn't know they did a Jupiter 8.
They've got they're not shipping yet. No. They're supposed to be shipped, because supply chains. But they are doing a Jupiter 8.
What are they charging?
Oh, it's like the Deckard's Dream. It's very expensive, but
3.5.
But yeah, about 3.5, 4, somewhere in there. But considering how good it is,
yeah,
it'd be like instead of going back out with the Jupiter 8, you'd be going out with the Jupiter 8's younger sister.
What do they call it?
I can't remember off the top of my head. Let me look it up quick.
I will just say that a lot of I don't really have gear horn because I have the Rev 2, and the Rev 2 is preposterously good. It's like the filter is nowhere near as good as a Jupiter 8, and I don't know why Jupiter 8 filters sound so good, but it sounds fucking good, and there's so much shit you can do on that thing.
Okay, they're calling it the E-Senin. I'll just post a link into chat because, they do have a kit. I mean, which by the time you're done building it, you're going to have less hair from tearing it out, and you'll have spent almost the same amount of money.
Oh, well. But thank you for that intel. Does anybody else have anything incredible they want to talk about? Because if you don't, we're rating. I'm so frustrated. No one to talk with about. Hold on. Oh God. Boom. We're gonna rate to MTV TV, and I'm just really quickly. Sean, join us, man. Every week here, we jump on here and talk about music and the art of making music, and sometimes we just fucking complain because god damn it. And Angelspit's still making shitloads of music. I feel like apologizing for that. And I dearly apologize to your neighbors and everyone. We're going to MTV TV. You're beautiful. We love your faces, all of your faces, and keep listening to MTV TV. But we're rating there right now. Bye. 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 I'm still doing it. Bye. 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 Bye.